what's up? This is Matthew coming at you guys with another video, and this video we're going to be talking about the Tulsa Race Massacre or the Tulsa Race Riots, a riot that happened in the 1920s, and you kind of see the similar things that's going on today. So I think this is a good history lesson just to talk about for this video. For the first thing of this video, you guys probably don't know about the Tulsa Race Massacre or Tulsa Race Riots. What happened is that it was basically, obviously, a race riot, but it happened in the 1920s. In the 1920s, there was a lot of racism that was going on. It was this blank where it was this in your face, and that people would basically say whatever the heck they want to say to any minority group or to anybody. And it was just basically a time where people was just open with everything that they wanted to say, whether it was about another person or not. And so for the race riots, what ended up happening is that it got burned down. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a part of Tulsa, Oklahoma that was called Black Wall Street. And Black Wall Street was basically the rich part of the black community, where a lot of people in the black community at that point in time who lived in that part of Tulsa were rich. They had lots of money. They were wealthy beyond means. And there was also poor parts, and there was poor black people, and then there was poor white people in the town. And there was rich white people, and there was rich black people in the town. And the rich black people owned businesses, owned different things, and this was basically making a lot of money different ways. And so what happened is that they say that there was a person who raped a white woman, a black man who raped a white woman who was a elevator clerk, who at those times they basically had a person who operated the elevator. This was in the 1920s, so the technology wasn't as advanced as it is right now. But at that time they said that there was a person who raped a white woman, and she was an elevator clerk, and that she just basically filed a complaint, and they arrested the guy. And the guy who was arrested, he was supposed to be lynched and was supposed to be killed on that day, but there's a whole group of black men who basically protected him and said that no, this person didn't do it, he's being framed, he needs to basically be able to live his own life. And there was a mob of basically white people at that time who wanted to lynch and kill this person. And so basically what happened is that they stopped the guy from being killed at that moment in time, but it ended up being a race riot because mostly at that time, when they say a race riot, now a lot of people nowadays, they think about race riots as in being like a minority group was mad at a non-minority group. But at those times, it was really just white people who was coming in through minority neighborhoods trying to tear up a lot of things. And that's at that time, that's what a race riot really meant. And so all these white people was coming in and tearing up the rich Tulsa, Oklahoma part of town, the rich black Tulsa, Oklahoma part of town, and they were basically tearing up everything, and the people who lived in those towns were trying to defend themselves. Yet this was during the 1920s, and what just ended was World War I. And there was a lot of military people who came back from the war, and what they were doing is that they had helicopters licensed, and they also had different planes where they flew over the rich part of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they were dropping bombs on this city. And they basically tore up the whole rich district of the black neighborhood, and they tore up everybody's homes. A lot of people were injured, a lot of people were killed. And the thing is that this isn't talked about in history. I don't know why it's not talked about in history, because it's a part of American history, as many other things that's a part of American history, but it's not really talked about. So the thing is that now this is coming up out of nowhere. And if you watch different news shows, I believe that Gayle King is the one who brought it up. And one of the news shows, I don't remember, I don't really watch the news shows as much, but she brought it up. So knowing that, she basically is attentive to it and knows a little bit about it, and I just want to get my 2 cents on it because it really infected a lot of people at that time, and I think that should be talked about now. And so the aftermath of this is that there's still people who actually have grandparents or who actually have family members who lived at this time, and they basically was just still have the memories. Now, to my knowledge, the last person who was in the Tulsa race massacre was a man who just died. He was 100 years old. So that leads to say that mostly the people who was affected in that generation has basically gone off in the other life. So not a lot of people remember it, or people heard stories about it in the South, because Oklahoma's in the South, so a lot of people in the South would know more about this than people in the West Coast, the East Coast, or up north. But there still is an impact of American history, and I wanted to get my 2 cents on it because it's not really talked about. And I think that because of a lot of the race riots and the race things that's been going on, I wanted to basically tell people to look up more information about this, because a lot of people say that they know a lot about racial relations in the United States and the history of it, but a lot of people don't really know about the things that's been going on for a long periods of time. So I wanted to tell people about this because you guys need to really research what's been going on in this country, and this is going to give you guys a bigger or a better picture of what's going on right now in the country with everything that's been going on. And so that's my 2 cents. This is Matthew. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You guys have a good night.